Welcome back, guys. It's KP21, and today we're going to talk about the Tottenham for Roberto De Zerbi. So, first of all, while we are speaking, there's a lot of players and all. So, if you're not the example, just follow the example, because, like, Roberto De Zerbi, the Tottenham now, and it's like we see glimpses of what he want to do with Tottenham last year as they avoid relegation, Tottenham, yeah, and now is to re-establish the team, at top of Europe and winning the title. We win the Europa League enough times now, so the Conference League is there first of all, and then the Champions League. The English Premier League title, we're going to do that eventually, while establishing Europe the most thing, because if we are preach, the European title, come on to the English title, it's like only a few people speak English, it's like only a few people speak English. English are like Latin now, like back in the days, they would have Latin that are English now, so as somebody who speak English, it could, say you are established English in Europe with Tottenham, because Spurs is a good team. So Roberto De Zerbi, and since me I want Tottenham fan now, we are seeing the second head coach manager since Antonio Conte, He's like the second Italian manager who is not Conte. So it's like, we know Italy and football is like a 3-player system, Majority them start about a 3-player system, it be like 3 defenders. And so now, I'm gonna just put a line up there, so yeah. Cool, line up there, so we know majority of people focus on 3 defender systems, and with Tottenham, the type of football we play and the type of manager Roberto De Zerbi is, the 3-player system get utilized in a midfield, and for years, like, for a good while, they must say, Tottenham need a 6, and, me and one of the main person, I say, why purpose of a 6? Why Tottenham need a 6, And we have Paulina now, Joe Paulina, whatever you want to say about Paulina, we have that player, So like, the midfield, with the 6 that are like an anchor and the base of the team, So you're having that player where we get for transition, and with Paulina, we see how important that player is. Him score the winner to keep it in the league. So it's like no debate on Paulina and the type of player he is and how he benefits our team, right, as the 6th there with Paulina, and then the next midfield, because we have 3 guys pivoting now. We have 3 guys pivoting and them in our midfield. 3 of them in our midfield. Me put Lucas Bergvall with Pape Matasar, Lucas Bergvall wants to be the 8th, so we have a 6 and an 8. 2 of the 3 guys, the 29. So 6, 8, 29. Lucas Bergvall, for me, is the type of player, like much better player than what Pedri was as a teenager. Lucas Bergvall win a European title at 18 years old or so, and we don't see Pedri do them things there. So Lucas Bergvall a much better profile and player to have there to transition from we in a midfield, a 3-player system. Him have Paulina beside him, and Paulina pass him the ball now, and in front of him have 3 attackers, him wing backs as well, and Pape Matasar is right there, the number 29. You know, we call this a player, they are like, it's like an 8.5. You know, an 8.5, meaning we want goals from this player. This player is a goal scorer. And Pape Matasar and Lucas Bergval with Yao Palina, the midfield three. We see these three guys, we know that they can score, yes, and they have an assist in them. And what's important, they can also be tenacious, balancing the midfield tenaciously. You know, so having those three guys right there, and you being able to build a team around that, it's like, you know, Tottenham 26-27. And from there, you know, our captain or vice captain have to be on the field, you know, have to be on the field. James Maddison in a preferred drifting from the left, you know, position, because we always want to give these guys titles. I just want to see the players where they're performing to the best of their ability and when they're giving their all, you know. That's so I like my players. And James Maddison drifting from the left, yeah, right there we have James Maddison drifting from the left, and we're getting goals and assists repeatedly, you know. Christian Romero in his favorite right-sided defense, you know. He's a right-sided defensive player, you know. Argentina, though, is transitioning to a three-man defense. So that's good for Romero, having Marcos Senesi with him. And, you know, always a good balance, Kevin Danso. With those three players behind Lucas Bergval, Yao Palina and Pape Matasar with James Maddison, the team is starting, you know. You see that the intent with that 7. With that 7 you see the intent, knowing that all of these guys, you know, who's not scoring is assisting, and they all are defensive players, you know. We don't, with the exception of James Maddison, you know. So we have 7 players there. I haven't spoken on the wing backs, and only 1 player is tasked with goals and assists. So these 6 players behind James Maddison now, they know what they're to do. You know, get James in a chance creation position. Yeah, you know, because that's his role, to create chances, whether he's scoring or assists. It's his decision, you know. If he wants to score, he scores. If he wants to assist, he, you know, pass the ball. Yeah. So now we're looking at both wing backs. There's much talk on Andrew Andy Robertson. We have Destiny Udagido, the Italian left back who is just breaking into Italy, alongside with Roberto De Zerbi. Tottenham, you know, will be looking to show influence on Italian football, and the manager has a left back to work with. The manager has a left back to work with, so you know it's a no-brainer with how and what we can expect. Because Destiny Udagi here will be getting direct guidance from someone who's represented what Italian football is about more and what makes it better. Destiny Udagi is a European champion and looking for more titles to furthermore establish himself with Italy. Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Pedro Porro on the next side. You know, we have Jet Spence. Who can play anywhere on the wing. So, you know, he starts game, of course, but it's also good when you know he can impact the game, because with a player like Jet Spence, he goes on the field for 15 minutes, you know. Say there's someone Jet Spence for 15 minutes, you know he'll be expecting the ball for the entire 15 minutes, you know. The first preference for the entire 15 minutes would be passing the ball to him to see what he can do. And you know there the player won't have an issue because even though it's 15 minutes, they're getting all the passes. But, you know, let's see how it goes. Pedro on the right side, the Spaniard. So that's a whole 9 players. A whole 9 players. And you see the team is balanced because Tottenham is naturally an attacking team and people want to see Tottenham attacking, especially on the counter attack. So with James Maddison now, and I would choose our leading goal scorer, which is Richarlison Andre. With James Maddison and Richarlison Andre totally tasked with making all the goals happen, you know. There's no worry there because when I look on the bench, so many attackers will be there thinking that they should start. You have Conor Gallagher, Dominic Solanke, you know, and so many guys are recovering that we can speak about to be fit for the new season. So all these guys will be wanting to regain their position in the starting 11, you know. So that's how the team looks. You call it whatever you want to call it, but it's the 3-man Tottenham, you know. The 3 midfielders and the players who revolve around the 3 midfielders. Because with the 3 midfielders, we can always exploit the versatility of Jet Spence, you know. Mattis Tell, of course, where you don't know his strongest position. You don't know his strongest position. So with him, you know, I agree that he deserves more game time than last season. From the bench though, he should be scoring, like, you know, like when you sub on Mattis Tell, I see the goal. I see the goal where you sub on Mattis Tell. So Roberto the Zerbi, Rose Zerbi. I think Zerbi will be the catalyst of. I think he's going to be the catalyst of the renaissance of Italian football. Like Rose Zerbi with Tottenham Hotspur and his Italian left back. There's talk on other players being signed, you know, but that's just talk. That's just talk. So when these players are signed, you can no, you know, we have Archie Gray, like the Archie Gray is like one of those players who should be in the England squad at the World Cup, you know. They're lacking that versatility to, you know, you see them struggling. So, like, so many players with Tottenham and Roberto Zerbi who, you know, we should be mentioning all these guys just so that they know that they are all part of the plans. Because with Christian Romero now, he's putting more, what's that? More commitment. That's more commitment. He now has a centre back pairing from his country. That's more commitment. The same for Mickey van de Ven, you know. They both now have a centre back pairing from their country. So that's a lot of commitment. So they know that when they're playing, and you know the impression for places, you know, they're gonna need to make a lot of impressions to know that they can now become consistent starters. Because when you look at the squad of Tottenham, Dejan Kulusevski isn't even playing. He's not even training yet. You know, Dejan Kulusevski is in the gym. So Radu Dragusin just recovered from his ACL and is looking at playing a full season again. You know, we haven't seen that from him up till now. He got signed in January, then last season, with all the ACLs, yeah. And so now you'll be looking at a full season to see what a full season entails. We'll be in 3 competitions. No Europe. That's at least 40 games. At least 40 games. That's so many minutes. So many minutes. So it's for the players to know how many minutes they can commit to completely, and how you plan your season is it how it goes. Other players like Luka Veskovic with Mikey Moore, they think they should be starting at Tottenham. They think they should be starting at Tottenham, but when it really matters, they don't want to train though. They don't want to train with They don't want to train with Tottenham, but they think they should be starters at the club. So I don't know how they think it works, because if you don't train, it's not gonna work. So so if they don't want to train with Tottenham, that's cool on them. More players are there. Randall Colomani, should we extend his loan for another year? I don't have a problem with that. So I don't see why not. Wilson Otterbird, another player recovering, like Roberto Zerbi quietly has what I think is the best squad in England. I think Roberto Zerbi quietly has one of the best squads in England. And if your name is not called, pre-season is the perfect time to make some impressions. So it's football 26-27 Tottenham Hotspur with Roberto Zerbi, KP 21.